Uh, apply the method and see where we end up, right? So daily point of view, is there a trend? Is there momentum? We do have an uptrend as far as structure, higher highs, higher lows, especially this last low here, still consistent with that swing point there. And that looks like a simple little fib retracement and an uptrend, right? Oh, okay, 618 overshoot. Ah, familiar stuff, huh? So I do want to be aware of that area if we come back down again, because that's just a big major thing there. It already respected that fib one time. It may do it again. We may see a reaccumulation of buying here if we do visit this area. So we want to be aware. That's where the last major buying came in. You can see even from a daily point of view that the volume kicked up there. So that's all the usual pattern that we know, right? Of course, we'll see what our 1 hour volume says. But from this point of view, it's a simple uptrend. Now, as far as momentum, we're not in the middle of any strong momentum. There's been about 3-4 days of sideways. But if we look at the moves on the uptrend itself, and this was a nice big green candle at one point, this move is pretty good as far as momentum. And then to see this, so we're not in the midst of a momentum, but we are in an uptrend, and we expect it to continue unless volume says otherwise. Once we really get in there, and let's just mark up whatever obvious stuff we're dealing with here. Okay, step 2, 1 hour chart. Recent high volume, what does it mean? And does it confirm that, or this bullishness? Does it not? Does it say it's turning? So here was that high before the last retracement of the uptrend. And that's a good place to find out about weakness, just to kind of go back. This was literally New Year's Eve, January 2nd. And yeah, I'm not going to overanalyze what happened on New Year's Eve. The main thing is that we did do this 618 overshoot thing. And let's see what the recent high volume is saying. It's a little wacky back here. December 31st, January 2nd. It's a little wacky, and that's fine. I'll let it be. I say that because we have high volume down candle, high volume up candle, high volume down candle, all in the same area. It's just a mix of buying and selling for whatever reason. I'm not going to read too much into it for January 2nd. And again, let's just go back from here and look at the recent high volume points. This off the 14 EMA hit a bit of buying. These higher volume points here led to higher prices, which is considered aggressive buying. Whoever sold into that got run over, and we accepted higher prices. I'm just seeing if there's any reason not to stay bullish. If volume is neutral or not giving anything clear, we're still in a bullish environment. We'd still need to look for strength going forward, though. But if we're seeing a lot of weakness, that's another story, which we're not. Again, here, this very, very high volume leading to a higher close and leading to acceptance of this higher price here on low volume here. So there's no evidence of proper weakness coming in. So the one thing that stands out is that the volume is unclear in our background. And I guess we could just blame that on the time of year and the New Year's stuff here. But again, we're looking at bullishness in the overview, unless we see a lot of weakness, but we still need strength, right? Where's the strength? Where's the clear strength? It kind of feels like today is the first real normal day, which is why I waited till today to come back. I didn't want to do, January 2nd and try to trade and whatever. So I'm looking for normal stuff to return here. And so obviously, if we revisit this area, I always start with what's the best setup. It doesn't mean it's the most likely to happen, but the best thing, and this could happen tomorrow if there's no setup today and it just comes down. But the first thing I like to mark up is the best. If we revisit this low, and there's a long setup. Again, this was a 618 overshoot pattern, and we could end up down here again today, tomorrow. Now, there are higher entries that we could do as well, but that would be a very high probability setup there if that confirmed. Now, of course, here also, and we just need to get information about strength and weakness now that we're into regular stuff. But the path of least resistance here is bullish, since we've been moving up like this and not seeing weakness. But we do have a clear fib here, and that's going to be our first real checkpoint to tell us about the buyers. And if they show up here and in large amounts, everything is just making sense, right? Again, looking at the recent high, and this not only was a 618 overshoot, but there's a nice structure of higher highs and higher lows here. So to have a fib retracement there that hits strength and a proper setup there would be valid. Maybe do another leg up. But that's the only thing missing here is volume confirming, which today I really, again, is like the first day I expect to really take seriously what it's telling me. More coffee. So basically, as we know, unless we're looking at a very obvious setup, we just need to test areas and find out. So again, here, this is going to tell us either way. There's no way around it, right? If we can test this area, buyers show up, likely, and if they don't, that tells you something, right? So whether there's strength or not is going to be very revealing here about how confident and aggressive these buyers are in this environment. Again, if they don't show up here, we may go lower and get the setup here later today, tomorrow. If we move up, so that's if we move down, right? We'll be finding out about buy activity and hoping to confirm the bullish environment and ideally get a setup. So that's if we move down. If we move up, this is the area that's going to start to tell us about sell activity. And for example, if we move up and see a lot of weakness, right, some very high volume weakness, then we're getting, sort of conflicting stuff, and we'd have to take it from there. So it's all about getting the information now. I'd rather be moving down and see strength. But if we move up, we're going to find out about sellers. Now, if sellers don't show up through here, that's also going to confirm, right? So either way, these areas are going to tell us something important. Whether we see weakness or not in this area is going to be very revealing about the environment and what they're looking to do. So we just got to move around and find out, right? It's a pretty classic bullish environment. We just need a little more confirmation from volume, right? So let's move around and find out. All right, Mr. Pound. How similar are we looking from a daily point of view? Yes, it's an uptrend. That happened December 13th. And again, it's sort of this, we can't trust this too much, Christmas, New Year's. That weakness played out pretty well. It doesn't mean going forward we're still weak. Again, I feel like we need new information, and I'm not going to be, bearish because of that in the background, unless I get some new confirmation of bearishness now. Again, it's all about finding out now that we're kind of into the regular stuff again, expecting real information that we can trust. And you see from a 1 hour point of view, there's the weakness. On New Year's Eve, Because that's what people are doing on New Year's Eve. Getting out of the pound at high prices. Yay. I guess so. Happy New Year. Well, it's a good New Year move for those buyers. Now on the way down, you get all kinds of activity. Rather than no demand situations, demand did show up. Again, I'm not going to take too much out of it. It's all about getting the new information now. So the information we can get, luckily we're in this area now, right? So we don't have to wait very long, especially if we go slightly higher, even just slightly higher here. We're going to get some information about selling. Here, obviously, we're going to get information about selling, 618 overshoot area. If sellers are active, or if they're looking to get in, if they're confident, they'd really be showing up here, as we know, right? And just into new high ground as well. So this is all going to tell us about sell activity. Now, if we get high volume weakness, then that may be pointing to obviously weak pound doing this. So let's get our information. Again, if we move down, so it's sort of a different approach here, being the time of year. It's like sort of a reset. I don't completely trust what's going on to the left. It's a mess, and it's supposed to be because it's New Year's Eve and all that. If we move down, again, we'll be finding out about buyers here. It's not necessarily a long, so I won't mark it. I really want to see. That's what I mean. I know I'm repeating myself over and over again, but I just want to see what's the market's up to now that we're into regular days, regular time. So up or down, we get information, right? Okay. So it looks like that's what this analysis is all about here. This guy is quite different. So we don't exactly have US dollar-led environment. That may change later today on the US news. It may change Friday on the big US news. But as of now, we don't have a correlation among these three because the US dollar is not driving them right now, obviously, right? Daily point of view. We have an uptrend structure with strong momentum to the downside. Ooh, interesting. $618 overshoot right now as we speak. So that is already a very important area. If we have strength, we're expecting this. If we don't, it's going to continue down and we'd look for weakness. So luckily we're at this point. And initially, a lot of strength, but it did not confirm on the next candle. Closed lower. Let's get in there. So there's the 618 overshoot. If buyers are active, they're going to show up there, right? We say it over and over again. There they are. New low ground after that's going to tell us, uh-oh. Not looking so good for those buyers, right? Not looking too good. So let's see the outcome of this, but it's maybe leaning towards breaking this 618. The best thing you can see on these overshoots is this leading to no lower prices, right? The quicker the bounce, the better. You get a couple of candles just coming right up to the 14 EMA, right? You get your test or whatever goes on. This stuff is, here's your first test for sellers, and it wasn't exactly active. But where's the markup activity, right? So if this is your 618 overshoot strength, bam, big strength. Here's your test for sellers, no supply. That's my first Gavin impression of the decade. No supply. And it looks like it's theirs for the taking as far as marking up, right? But then they don't do it. It could have been more of a profit taking on shorts and some aggressive buying, but we don't see the accumulation type of activity, the markup type of activity. There was a little volume here. So it's a bit iffy, right? We've seen much better trustworthy 618 overshoot deals than this. This is not great at all. So let's let it resolve itself. If it continues to go lower, then we're done with this opportunity. It's not playing out. They never marked it up over the 14, and off it goes, right? And in that case, it's bearish. And whoever bought here, sorry. So again, if we're moving down past this very, very important point, then we are bearish. And in that case, I'd be looking for weakness, right? And let's just see what's to the left down there. Oh gosh, not much. So that becomes the projection here. If this confirms that the strength is not playing out and we go lower by, 10, 15 pips here at the most, even less, just new low ground without buying coming in, then we're projecting this. And to back out and look at the daily point of view, it's quite simple, right? So we're at that very important point now, so we don't have to wait forever. So let's see what it does. Interesting that a lot of demand came in, but they just were not looking to mark it up. We'll see what it does. Maybe it'll come around. Maybe it won't. Okay, but we know where we are with that. Let's see how it develops. AJ, okay, so getting into the yens. So obviously we have weak Australian dollar. What does the market know right now? That's weak. And that may be why these strengths are not going to hold up just relative to everything else. The US dollar is a bit uncertain. Here's our pound move. US dollar not exactly very active in driving everything. And Australian dollar has been weak relative to everything else. It changes if we get very high volume strength, but we're in the midst of finding that out now. But let's just do this. So AJ, again, this is similar where we have that same deal. Very, very important area. Same as the AU as far as significance here. 618 overshoot, which happened a little sooner on this pair. It happened on January 3rd. And again, it's about seeing what it wants to do here. Here's our actual 618 overshoot on market open this week, which did bring a lot of activity and a fake break. And here we are back. Again, a fake break, slightly lower. Let's see the strength on that. And again, this looks like AU where, okay, there's some buying, but they didn't mark it up here. This looks a little more bullish, and it could be because the yen is weaker. Buying Australian dollar, not exactly 100% convinced that I want to do that. It's been more weak. Let's keep getting the information. So I don't quite trust this long situation. Again, the 5-minute, we've seen cleaner. But it's not terrible. Coming up on this is going to be a test area, test for sellers here. I'm just not in a rush. I'm considering this the first normal day. And I want to get information. I want to see what the market knows. What's the consensus? What's the big money looking to do here? But we're going to end up testing here for sellers. 50 EMA, and especially here, which was the initial automatic rally and test for sellers here. So we'll find out what's going on there as well. Now, if there's a no supply situation here, it's likely marking up, right? Just a bit sloppy, but not terrible. on the strength here on the 618 overshoot. Not terrible. Well, let's see what it does. If I was being more aggressive, I might look to get in now as it's decreasing volume into up moves, 14 EMA, decreasing. But I'm not sure I trust it yet. So we'll get a little more information whether we go up or down. Again, I'm just spending the first bit of time just gathering this information unless we see something really textbook. EJ, sloppy. There's no trend. There's no momentum. It appears to be an uptrend, but there was actually a double top and a lower low, lower swing low. So we're into the weeds here as far as any direction from a daily point of view. In that case, we just mark up support resistance and then see what volume tells us for any sort of direction. And we do have a fib retracement there. Euro has some news coming in 25 minutes. So as far as Euro pairs, that again about gathering information, we'll see what it does on that news. Daily point of view, there is no trend or real momentum in any direction. And let's, you know what I'm going to say? Get the information. So if we move up, we'll find out what's going on there. Pound just did it. We'll get into that. If we move down, we'll get information there. Looking at the recent high volume, again, it's kind of all over the place. We normally see much cleaner stuff than this. And again, time of year, I'm not surprised. I feel like I'm just repeating myself on every chart, but you get the idea. So up or down information. Of course, here's new high ground, 618. This would be a fib retracement, right? What are they up to here now that we're into regular times? Pound yen. All right, so what's up with the pound right now? Let's finish this off and see. Again, we did have this huge weakness in the background. It did play out, but, you know, that was last decade, so maybe it doesn't matter. I want to see what they're up to now. Again, very unclear in volume, right? We almost never see such a lack of clarity. And again, attribute it to the time of year. So I'm not going to worry about the analysis too much on this because it's in the midst of something. But let's just do that. It's breaking 618. There is a lot of volume on that. So is it going to confirm weakness or not? So there's 618 overshoot. Here's 618. 618 overshoot. So yes, selling did come in. But then we continue higher. And again, we are seeing some weakness. Now it may just plow through or it may come down and confirm a double top fake break, right? So let's find out. At least a few of these charts are at some crucial points since we're all about gathering information at the moment. And again, the pound dollar probably looks exactly the same, where you have weakness coming in, but let's see if it confirms or not. You know, the market open spike is this. And typically when you can outdo the market open spike pretty soon after, that's very significant. And so as we know, this is all about, does this confirm weakness or not? It's sitting up here, so it may not. Let's find out, right? This is about to close. 1 minute says, again, sellers showed up where they're supposed to, selling again into new high ground. And we're about to get our answer, right? Does it confirm weakness or does it float up on through without weakness into new high ground? And that way it would be pointing to a bullish environment. Again, as I say, when you break that 618, then you're looking at where you drew the fib from as your, what's the word I'm looking for? Thing. Projection. I'm a little rusty. So if at any point the pound is able to float on up into new high ground in this very important area for weakness to hold or not, then the projection becomes that. Which at that point, there could be a scalp entry. It's a matter of seeing weakness just completely gone, and then I would be a little more aggressive to buy it up to this point, which is a trade I take every now and then because it has to really be right. When you break 618 without weakness, it is pointing to this. But if there's weakness popping up, you can kind of get, I like to see it really right, where the sellers are not really going to show up until here. And you can see that by lack of supply coming in, and you can just catch it quick. And also on the pound yen, that's a good amount of pips, where, if you're getting in here at 50, it's like 70 pips to the high, which is not a bad scalp. All right, I think we know where we are. I think I need a coffee refill. Any questions, let me know, and we'll see how things develop and get into more detail and get some answers. So I'll be back in a second. Any questions, let me know. Looking for that to confirm weakness or not. Confirm weakness or not. That's probably the most telling thing at the moment. Euro, again, we're waiting for lower prices or higher prices to find out. AU, AJ at a very important 618 overshoot decision. It's like the pound yen, but in reverse. And it's touchy down here, right? We don't really see a consensus. I'll let it come together. I think everybody knows what I mean here, right? Again, it's like this is the beginning of a great long setup. This is also a great low volume test. And instead of the markup action coming in, another run of selling comes in, which does hit some buying again. This high volume led to higher prices here. That's the market open. Now, if you can't get above 618, you're not really impressing me with your buying. It's supposed to be an overshoot, a fake break. We're not supposed to hang out down here, right? But there is strength. We don't see weakness. So let them figure it out, right? It's not my problem. And again, 14 EMA test, we're seeing no supply. Decreasing volume as we're heading up here. Are they going to mark it up? They didn't here. Are they going to at least confirm this 618 overshoot and come back? It could be that really some of these buyers are really just looking to get into lower prices and not mark it up. Again, we'll find out. Looking at the pound on the 1 minute, it's a similar situation where, again, 618 overshoot, we are seeing the reversal pattern, but can it really confirm by at least getting back below 618? And which is also a 14 EMA test for buyers here too. So very similar, the pound in Australia, just opposite directions. Try to see what it wants to do at a 618. All right, so it looks like the pound might be coming around now. And again, I don't mind the weakness, the bearish And the euro dollar was leaning more towards bullish, but again, we back out in daily chart, right? I mean, once this happened and this low, you're already projecting this. This is nothing new. We all know this one. So if that's what's going to come around now, that is fine. Yep. There we go. Wouldn't mind seeing this get just below 618 as well. But it looks like the pound dollar finally did confirm a proper 618 overshoot. I mean, that's how you want to respond to a 618. You know, you summarize it on a 30-minute chart, a 15-minute chart. Pretty darn good. All right. So now that that's confirmed, let's get no demand. Get on with it. So our test area is coming up right there, 7 pips away. And that's, of course, 14 EMA, which we love. And the previous resistance turn support is also happens to be exactly the same spot. So my position size, accordingly, normally I have a 25 to 30 pip stop on average. And like I say, if it's going to be a bigger stop, then of course a smaller position to keep your risk in check. Everybody should know that, but I always say it. Nothing wrong with a 50 pip stop every now and then. You just take it, less lots. Very simple. And it's all good because big pips are big pips. So if the stop is big pips, then so is the target. So is the target. On fib retracements, the main target, we manage trades, but the main target, of course, is back to the low. If it wants to continue, that's nice too. This is sort of the safe main area. You may want to manage, but that's the target. So that's a lot of pips there. That's over 100. Volatile stuff here. The pound, yen, really. I like it. I like it. It's great for scalping. Which I was going to look to do if we broke through here without supply. Euro dollar has to move somewhere to give us some good information, tell us about sellers, tell us about buyers, and it has some news in an hour, so maybe that'll get it there, if not sooner. The AU-AJ has not resolved really too well. Okay, well, the AJ has. So we'll see here on a test for sellers. Not sure I trust this as much as the pound. Firm here. If it pushes through properly, the best thing to see on these areas is you sit up here and testing for sellers. You all know this, right? You get a little low volume and then you push up and that closes at or near the high. And it tends to have increased volume as long as it's not high volume. The lower the better. And that's the latest point I like to get in. So that could happen very soon. And waiting for the opposite situation here. All right, so there's our two closest to confirmation setups. Let's see what goes on here now. As I've been saying over and over again, these volumes are all over the place. We know it doesn't normally look like this, and this is New Year's Eve weakness, and what the heck, we're changing phases from it. But today I feel like it's trustworthy. It's the 7th. It's Tuesday. And this came in pretty nice. for the 618 overshoot. So now we got the test for demand. There's the pound yen, which it needed to get below that 618. See that? Let that test. This is even a test area here. But of course, 14 EMA. So those two. AJ is doing the overshoot stuff, but not quite as convincing. But we'll see if we can get through the test area. The pound is certainly cleaner. Euro dollar waiting for higher or lower prices. There's really nothing to do in here. Find out about buyers. It does seem bullish, but find out about buyers down here. Find out about sellers up here. In here, of course, there's nothing to do. Nothing to my liking. So pound dollar testing for buyers right now. Lower the better volume. Pound dollar. Did I say pound yen? Pound dollar. Well, the pound yen also, right? No, almost, yeah. All right, so these may confirm soon. Again, of course, allowing for one more fake break on the stops. So just to mark the stops, it would be like here. And on this one would be allowing for a fake break about here. And the pip count is bigger than usual, so smaller position, so the risk is in check. Very big pip potential to the downside. It's all good. But one trade shouldn't be devastating to your account because you took one loss because it was like 2 or 3 losses worth. You know, we never want to do that. Ever. Okay. We know this. So as we know, this is where the sellers pause their activity. If they know what's good for them, and we can find out about buyers, volume really representing buyers at this point. The lower, the better. When it looks like your charts froze because there's no activity, that's a good no demand. I just say no demand now. Yeah, I'm from New York. It's just how I say it. Live with it. Sounds better. No demand. All right, so it looks like I better get ready. Which one do I like better? I mean, they're both basically the same here. See if we can hang on to this spot and let it close. Which one is technically better? I could put a little on each, but they're likely going to do the same thing. Which one looks better? They look the same. It's pound driven. I mean, it's a question of what the U.S. dollar is going to do and what the yen's going to do. We know that it's pound driven either way. Let's look at the dollar yen. Oh, that makes sense. Whatever's going to be stronger here, right, would be the one to sell against. Would be, yeah, sell the pound against the stronger one. Maybe we have U.S. dollar trending upward now. Okay, some strength on the U.S. dollar. So we may want to be selling the pound against that. Because it's, yep. How's that for logic? That's the only difference, is that the dollar is seeing more buying today than the yen. So if we're going to sell a pound against one or the other, it would be the dollar. All right, so there's our close. Yeah, the volume's pretty low. It's not bad. This one hit the 14 EMA too. That had nice lower volume. The higher volume points are here, sort of in no man's land, but here's a little kind of test. Here's, of course, 14 EMA. Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's see, the pound yen. Yeah, that's the lowest volume in all of this besides the confirmation of weakness. Tough choice. It's probably going to do the same thing. Meanwhile, AU is bullishness is hanging on by a thread. The Australian dollar. Certainly demand came in, but they're not able to mark it up and cleanly turn this thing around. It may go lower, hit demand lower before a bounce. So putting that aside for the moment. Again, of course, we know the euro news in 45 minutes needs to be moved around so we can find out what's going on. So that leaves us with this. If we hang out here for a little bit and volume drops, right? We all know this. This is our test area. We can hang out here for another couple of candles, whatever. Volume dropping off, right? We like that stuff. Patient on marking it down, really making sure the buying is dried up. And sometimes a bit of buying may come in, and then we get weakness and we do it again. That's the usual routine. But it's looking decent. All right, so maybe hang it out here on no demand. Good stuff. I'm ready to enter the pound dollar. That's the one I have up right now. But of course, we just need to confirm this by getting here. Very, very low volume on this. Let's go. Close the candle. Yes. No demand. Extreme. I like how patient the sellers are. If it wants to float up on low volume, that's all fine. Sellers are just like finger on the trigger. Let them get in the wrong way. So as we know, if we do end up floating up to this point, highly expected to see an increase in volume and selling. Our usual little double top pattern, come back down. This is where we need to see selling to keep this all intact. It'll be odd if they didn't show up, but happens, so we'll make sure. So 8 minutes to light impact pound news. So that could be what this is all about right now. It's just waiting for that to happen where we could go ahead and start marking down. Confirm the setup or not. Now getting in right before the news, right before, considering it's light impact, I would probably do a small position entry if it's before the news comes out. Small position, and then I could always add to it. That to me feels logical. It was a very clean setup. Light impact news. I'm not too worried. And that recent no demand is just ridiculous. No demand. Looks like immediate selling here. They're not even waiting for this. See how it got squashed, and that's when the volume picked up? There they are. Look at them not waiting for this. All right, 5 minutes to news. I'm not worried about it if we get a clean confirmation beforehand. I mean, it's going to be on this candle. Obviously, if it's before, or, news candle is going to come after this candle. So we'll see. Again, I can go smaller position. If it's 10, 15, 20 minutes after news. All right, then I won't worry. Nothing else of interest, right? AU is dying slowly. All right, light impact news. Light impact news now. Can we get on with it? All right, news was 2 minutes ago. It's light impact. The price didn't even move. It didn't react at all. Let's get on with it. But I'm patient. But as we know here, our 14 EMA was the test. This was also a previous level. It's all very clean. And we just need to push through that, get a lower price. And once that lower price hits, it's technically confirmed, but it's a matter of seeing how patient you want to be. The close on the push through, and to make sure there isn't strength coming in here, because that just throws a wrench in the whole thing. Lower prices tell you about buyers. So if it kind of is sitting there, you're not missing anything, waiting for it to close, and just making sure we don't have a spike of strength and a fake break. And it would just be perfect. 1 minute from now, this closes. That's the news candle. We're done, and we go ahead and push through this. You know, the timing is not going to be a coincidence if we do this maybe on a candle or two coming up here. Get the push through. Pretty obvious timing. So very quickly to look at, well, we got time until this pushes, but we were talking about this, make or break situation, similar to the pound in reverse, and we got the reverse outcome. It's not suggesting a reversal. This is a serious thing to be breaking that, this area. And of course, the projection is now this. This is a time where you can consider the scalp entries, and it's all about seeing that the lower prices are not showing demand, and then it's likely going here in a fairly straight line from here to here. Realistically, it could look like this. Could do that by tomorrow, whatever. So unless some high volume demand pops up on a 5-minute chart, it's likely going to wave down, right? And the 14 EMA rejections are good for that. And we're seeing low prices now. No major increase in volume. This is the stuff that says we're just going to go in a few waves down to that level. Let's make sure we got the box marked right. Geez, that's a long time ago. Where the heck is the box? There's barely a box. Okay, whatever. So we have our answer there. Just checking the pound. Okay. So again, just to kind of project what it's going to look like if I end up taking a scalp here, right? No strength. 14 EMA. And pulling away from the 14 EMA, selling into an area with no strength. Not waiting for the break, not chasing a break. Now the AJ is about to do that too, and that's more pips as far as scalping than the AU. So you might want to go with that once that's out, rather than looking for those waves. Sell off the little 14 EMA retracements as long as there's no strength coming in. And that, of course, has the projection to whatever the heck is back there. This, yep. So once that's broken, because there was some buying here. Let's see this low volume here, and we're all good. We're expecting that now. All right, so a couple of pretty clear-cut things have already happened today. That's good. It's made decisions in a timely way. I'm looking for confirmation here. It really looks all good. Let's just get down there. And then I may also get the AU, AJ, ideally AJ. Scalps. That's the plan today. Because if these things don't work out, the market doesn't know what it's doing then. It kind of needs to do this for it to make sense. if Australian dollar suddenly hits large demand. Weird. Or if pound is hitting demand, or the supply doesn't come in at higher prices, everything goes wacky. So it's obviously not the high probability. This is the plan right here. And all the people trading my method out there, which is a lot of people at this point, which is crazy to think about. The petefader traders are just salivating. The pound. It's like when they're bringing you your meal in a restaurant, but in this case, they're walking really slowly. Let's go. It may not even be your meal. It may not confirm and go somebody else. Somebody else. You think it's your food and it's not. It's my analogy. Okay. It's getting bored over here. Ridiculous no demand. Lowest volume of the session on the 14 EMA. Now, if this leads to it right now, let's go. Otherwise, I don't know what they're waiting for. Right? Patience, patience. It is really good looking. Is this it? What's that song? If this is it, please let me know. I'm taking this as sellers are ready. They're starting to mark it down. After that ridiculous no demand, right? Let's go. So again, I'm likely going with the pound dollar. Stop above for a fake break, 28 or so. Bigger than usual stop. Position size accordingly. Let's see if we can get this going. All right, looking good. So I can enter here. Wow, very aggressive. Well, I'm just going to get in this thing, huh? Like I say, I like to make sure it's going to behave here, but I like the way it's behaving. All right, so I'm in the trade now. I'm in the pound dollar short. I'm in the trade there, pound dollar short. This whole situation that went on, I'm very confident in. And if there is a bit of demand here, I'm not even worried about if it slows it down temporarily, whatever. Just the way this all turned out right here, too. All right. So I'm in the trade. Oh, let me take it in a demo. All right, so short pound dollar. Now I'm not going to double up on things and take the pound yen, so it is what it is. I got a little leeway if I want to end up taking something else. Like if this breaks as well, the AJ hasn't quite really convincingly broke the lowest level like the AU did. Once this goes, then it's even more confirmation that both of these are really just headed down towards the next support. Look for the scalp entry there, possibly. As long as demand's not showing up weakness or scalp entries. Not a bad push through. Not bad. If it looks higher, just look. This is just because it's so low. Our session began back here, so the average is around here. This really dropped off. This is nothing, so I'm not worried about that. You see how the 1 minute is behaving down there. See, that's representing the demand. Not terrible. It's going to show up. There may be a break test here. But that's what we say in the push through. A slight increase is okay, right? But the lower, the better. But you got to realistically say that's okay. If it was up here, of course, I would not have entered. And we would have seen this come down and just tick around, tick, tick up, tick down. And that's just going to be too much activity. But we saw it like sitting here doing nothing. All right, so targets. Of course, main target area is here. Or you could even kind of include that as far as where buyers may come in. Stop it. Stop it. I'm trying to get this. It keeps bouncing up. Okay. As far as where buyers would start to come in on the support area, I would say around here. So that's like, unless we're talking about a breakout and continuation based on what happens here. But main target, end of the day target by today, tomorrow. And then there's, of course, the fib area. What was the entry? Just quite a lot of pips. But of course, this is going to tell us it's also a little swing point. 50 EMA, swing point, 50 fib, right? Buyer land. So that's going to be very important information. If there's large demand here, that's an issue. But based on how much demand may or may not be coming in here, I can manage based off of that. So if I'm seeing very little demand, I could take off a very small amount or nothing if it's just floating on through, right? This fib area, you're likely going to hit some demand, but realistically, it's a good pip count already up to this point. I wouldn't want it to run back on me. It's really a concentrated area you got to watch out for. And of course, 618 overshoot could bring buyers, all that stuff. We know that. If it clears here with no issue of demand, then of course we're looking at that. And continuing another leg down, if we don't see some pretty high volume here to stop it, it's likely to do another leg down. Which is a nice way to start the decade. And so far, ooh, nice low volume down here. Very, very, very nice. That's the best thing you could see right there. It is the 50 EMA test area. I mean, what are you going to wait forever on these tests? But we did sell into a test area. But the 618 overshoot, that's the 618 overshoot. You don't really get better information than that, right? So it looks like either way, very high probability of some potential decent sized move. As far as the big thing, that's all about how much demand shows up in these areas. And so manage the trade accordingly. Okay, guys, any questions? I'm not taking the pound yen. I'm not doubling up on this situation. It is what it is. Depending on how I feel, I might go back to bed, or I might short scalp the Australian dollar, especially if this breaks, which is likely to. All right, very good. Take care, guys. May the force be with you. See you tomorrow.